They've just arrested Nakima Armstrong for our protest on Sunday. You know, my lawyers tell me they have no fucking case. This use of the FACE Act and the KKK Act is complete bullshit. But let's be honest, they don't fucking care. They don't believe in the rule of law. They're fascists. They're now going after fucking the Clintons for the Epstein files? What the fuck? God damn it, people. When will you stop fucking acting like everything's normal and going about your fucking days? Get in the fucking streets now. It's time to shut this country down. We are at fascism. The republic has fucking fallen. Please, Americans, please stand up for something. Do not be the same as those in 1930s Germany. Because right now, that's exactly what you're all fucking doing. Please wake the fuck up.
What's up, family? All right, so that was the last video William Kelly dropped before he got arrested. And honestly, it's like he knew it was coming. You could just feel it. Dude wasn't moving like someone who thought he was safe. He was moving like someone who saw the storm coming and was trying to armor up. And first off, he went and met with his lawyers. That's not something you do just for fun. That's something you do when you know you might be in deep legal trouble. And then right after that, he makes this quiet little changes to his GoFundMe. And he was real slick about it. Real slick, like it wouldn't draw no attention. And originally his page literally said, "Help me scold the Gestapo and hunt Nazis." Like that was the actual language, which, let's be honest, is straight up inflammatory, not to mention a wild exaggeration or whatever point he was trying to make. And then all of a sudden it changes to "help me practice my First Amendment rights." Come on, man. That's not a casual update. That's a legal strategy. That's lawyer talk. You can almost see the conversation in the room because his team was like, "Hey, yo, if you want to beat these charges, bro, you need to tone it way down and play the free speech card." So now they're trying to pivot the whole thing like he's just a patriot out here trying to express his opinion. But here's the part that's crazy. Instead of backing off, especially after Nakima Armstrong got arrested, which should have been a warning shot, right? Instead of chilling, this man doubles down. He cranks it up, gets even more aggressive. Like that's his actual energy that he continues to personify. I believe that he's demonic in spirit. I believe he has an evil spirit. Because my thing is, why would you sit here and express the most anti-American rhetoric ever? Like, how can you sit there and have the privilege to speak in that type of rhetoric against America and sit there and speak so divisive instead of unity? You go to another country like China, man, they're going to put you in an indoctrination camp. They might put you in a concentration camp, let alone whip you in shape to make sure you never be anti against that country again if he was in China. But this is the privilege of America, right? And the thing is, people abuse it and they'll go to the furthest extent to condemn another individual and oppress their opinions and call it First Amendment rights. When reality was he had no business going up in the church in a place of faith, of peace and welcome and love. People are being united and coming together with their children and training their child, raising their child up and training them in the way they should go in faith, believing in a higher power, something bigger than ourselves, and continue to be bigger, better humans and bigger amongst these things. And as you can see, when you seen those videos with Don Lemon and William Kelly over there sitting there yelling and shouting and protesting in the middle of a service, those individuals, those Christians, took the higher road and they actually were so civil. They were so nice. They were so sweet. And to be honest, my hat goes off to them, man. My hat goes off to them. Because growing up, if you try to do that at my Black Baptist church, oh, granny gonna take your hand and make sure you go to the door, and you gonna feel the simple fact if you even get through the door, because we got individuals sitting at the back. All are welcome, but don't come and disrupt the service and think you just gonna sit there and get away with it, because you're gonna get escorted out. That's why the men or the woman and the men and the woman was in the back to make sure that you were audited. You didn't have no weapons on you. You know, everybody was, it was supposed to be a welcoming of peace and safety to sit there and express your faith and enrich each other and enjoy the service, right? So the demonic energy, the demonic persona, it just spews off of him, just to the aura that he continues to amplify. Trying to sit here and still double down and call for the government to shut down and people to take the streets and rise up and fight the government. Like, that's his actual language. That's not peaceful protest talk. That's full-blown rebellion energy, is my point. And the wildest part is the hypocrisy, because he's out here calling out Republicans for going after the Clintons over the Epstein files. Like, what are we pretending that the government hasn't been weaponized before? Where was the energy during 4 straight years of nonstop investigations and charges against Donald Trump, including January 6th, when they tried to lock him up for telling people, and I quote, peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard? That's what Trump said. Compare that to what William Kelly just said, which was take to the streets and shut the country down. There's a massive difference. One is urging calm protests. The other is literally calling for chaos. And then to top it all off, the way he got arrested is just poetic justice. Because just a few days before, he was actually online taunting Pam Bondi, not once, but twice, flexing, acting untouchable, and then boom, they came and got him. But don't take my word for it. Check it out.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. The pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a fucking pastor and be a fucking ICE agent? Fuck them. They want to come after me? Fuck them. How can they live so comfortably while the fucking people from Somalia that are in this country legally, that have fucking citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray? How do they deserve any fucking different? Fuck those fucking Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you fucking traitorous bitch. All power to the people.
So the second video William Kelly dropped, you guys just saw. Yeah, just unhinged, just as vulgar. Man was on full demon time. And Pam Bondi wasn't having any of it, because she straight up posted that video on X like, check mark. That's it. One liner, boom. That was her mic drop. And honestly, she earned that one. Because the minute Kelly tried to clown her, she waited, watched, and then flexed with the biggest I told you so, as you guys see on the screen. Man got arrested right after. And the thing is, Pam didn't just gloat. She followed up with some serious words. And she reminded folks that America was literally founded by people fleeing religious persecution. That religion or religious freedom is supposed to be non-negotiable here. She made it clear, loud and clear, that they're going to protect pastors, churches, and people of faith. And I got to give a round of applause for that one, man. And that's the line in the sand. And this is why I say with the Trump administration, the grown folks are back in office. It's a shame you have to check these individuals like wild little kids when they're adults on how to behave and check bad behavior. And yet Cass Patel shared it too about William Kelly getting arrested. They all jumped on it. Kelly being arrested is a big signal. But here's where it get even more interesting, because he's now the third person who's been arrested tied to all this stuff. And naturally, that got people asking, okay, but what about Don Lemon? Because his name was all over this from the jump too. Now, if you're following what Josh Gernstein said, who's one of the more legit, no-nonsense reporters over there at Political, right? Originally posted, Lemon was listed in court documents along with 7 other people tied to the same church protest that targeted ICE agents. But then, boom, it is with an update. Post deleted, court docket gone. Why? Because apparently a magistrate judge, which we know is a far left, ideology driven, not law, but ideology over law, allegedly paid. But we all know, I feel as though when it came to the Democratic Party, before Trump got back in office in the Biden administration, my belief, I'm not saying it's true, but my belief, as we have seen more time and time and time again, which is why they sit there and delay the process of enforcing the law and making it harder for Trump, is they keep having these things of making things go to court to appeal the acts of ICE, to uphold national security, to stop federal funding, fighting Trump on that, to be able to catch the fraud and follow the trace of the money, but not allow fraud to keep continuing. So you got to stop the whole thing and tear it down from the bottom so you can reset the system till it operates the right way out of respect for the American taxpayer. But the Democrats don't want that. They rather sit there and take Donald Trump to court. Donald Trump got to sit there and appeal it. It goes up to the appellate court, then it hits to the Supreme Court, and then next you know it all goes away. But it's just a waste of time. Well, we know that the Democrat Party has been known to use these far left-leaning judges and pack the courts throughout the whole country to continue to fight Trump because they were prepared when he got back in office for his second term as of now. And this is why you have a magistrate judge sitting here putting ideology over abiding by the law. So this is the update, right? That Don Lemon court docket was gone because the magistrate judge stepped in and rejected the charge against Lemon. Like, that's wow. So now you got people confused, asking real questions. Like, why does Kelly get it but Lemon walks? Even if temporarily. CBS News confirmed it too, right? They confirmed the simple fact of the matter that this isn't some rumor type of thing. So Don Lemon got fired from CNN, even though I could say, okay, well, I could see if he was still working for CNN and the magistrate judge was like, well, he works for the news network. They sent him out there, but this is not the case. He is the independent so-called journalist, as he called himself, which I believe he's just a content creator that's a liberal activist trying to fake as though he is a journalist. But a journalist doesn't debate people. They just seek the truth and get the information out there. But stop trying to sway Christians and walking into a place of faith and worship and trying to make them feel as though they're wrong for having their place of peace and not being ambushed because individuals want to sit there and be far left lunatics disrupting the service and scaring people's children and scaring Christians within their whole place of worship they see for peace and renewal and to get recharged on the holy day, the Sabbath, the seventh day of the week, so they can get ready for their work week and return to the work week Monday. But on a Sunday, they're trying to be spiritually enriched to sharpen each other, to spread the word with each other and send each other out with the word that they resonated with from the service to continue to be better people, to go out there and do their due diligence within their own purpose as uniquely they are, as we all are unique but different in a beautiful way, because our uniqueness comes together and we share different purpose, where then we can learn from each other and pour into each other positively and uplift each other. And that's the whole beauty of service. You be in a community of faith, you guys are together, and then class truly dismissed when you set apart, because now you have to do the work on your own faith wise as consistently throughout the week, while you have that word to remind you as you get challenged and tested or whatever you may come across, hopefully having a positive work week. But it comes to my belief that even though he's independent, you see how united these Democrats are. He's not working for CNN, so there's no excuse why he should not be held accountable. Because I could see if he was CNN, okay, well, the network sent him out there. No, he went out there on his own as a content creator. But it shows this goes to tell you that even though because he's a liberal activist and he pushes these far extreme ideologies to help the Democratic Party in the face of activism or in the name of activism to go against Donald Trump because they have Trump derangement syndrome, that they'd rather defend someone such as a content creator like Dom Lemon, because we know that he has the push of helping the Democrat Party go against Donald Trump. So of course the judge is going to step in and defend him, right? Should we not be shocked? So as you guys can see, a judge refused to charge former CNN anchor Don Lemon in his anti-ICE protest at Minnesota church. CBS confirmed it. So this isn't some rumor mill type of thing. But at the same time, word is the Department of Justice still might come back around with a different set of charges. And look, this is where stuff starts to look real shady, right? Because you got political judges playing referee, overstepping what should be handled in court. We always talk about due process, right? Due process this, due process that, innocent until proven guilty, right? That's the American standard. And that doesn't go for illegal immigrants because they came into the country illegally. So they do not get due process because they're illegal. They're already guilty for breaking the law. So they can't get due process for the simple fact they should never been in the country in the first place. That's like someone basically kicking your door down and ramsacking and ambushing you and taking over your house, and you think that they should get due process for that? No, you're going to want law enforcement to step in and get them out your house. It's no different for these illegal immigrants that's coming in the country illegally in the United States of America and sitting there getting privileges off the backs of the American taxpayer. They ain't got no social security, and they getting free Medicaid, free food stamps, or free food in the name of food stamps, and sitting there off the backs of benefiting from welfare that's funded by the taxpayer, and in exchange to keep their vote be connected to the Democrats, so the Democrats stay in power. That's why these Democrats are fighting so hard to keep these illegals in here, okay? But when you look at all of this, right, the Department of Justice bringing charges doesn't mean you're guilty. There's enough to go to court, and it's your right to fight that out. Present your side and let the system decide. But this judge basically just hit the delete button before the process even started. And that's not due process. That judge knows best process. And maybe I could halfway understand, like I said, if Don Lemon was still at CNN, like I said, if he had credentials, a press pass, working an official assignment. But this was his own assignment. So when you look at all of this, Don Lemon being self-employed now, independent, no official network backing, and even worse, there's actual live stream footage on his own screen that shows he wasn't acting like a journalist. He was right in the mix, not just observing, participating, debating people, arguing with folks outside the church while people were being forced out, crying, scared, getting hackled on their way to their vans. And you wonder why I say ignorance leads to bad behavior. And then when you sit there like a judge and enable these individuals, it only promotes more bad behavior. And that judge should be held accountable too, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Because if William Kelly here can get held accountable, there's no exception for Don Lemon. Don Lemon, as you can see, the visibility and the liberal activism that pushes and he has a stronger force because of the following he has from being on CNN at that point in time, and now has his own, content creating his own platform on YouTube. It shows you that if you have some pull that benefits the party, they'll fight for you. And that's why you see the difference now that William Kelly is arrested, but you don't see Don Lemon arrested. But I want you to see how Don Lemon was hackling these individuals.
You think of
Just
it?
a harmless Christian here that wants to praise the Lord with my son, and now I got to go home. I'm sorry that you guys are so angry.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
What do I have to say?
Can you understand why they're angry?
I don't understand any of this because I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who loves the Lord and is a good father. This is what we look forward to, is coming, being with our family and praising Jesus, and that's not something that we have to run away from. So this is kind of a bad day for us. But, we're going to heaven, so that's the best news we got.
Do you understand that some of these folks feel voiceless?
I don't understand because right now I'm so upset right now. I don't really have I'm thirsty and I can't think very clearly. So what I want to do is just say we love you. My son and I love you guys. And
I'm a journalist. They're activists.
The simplest thing we can say is that we love you guys.
What do you mean, you guys?
Well, whoever's here in this house.
Okay.
We don't distinguish between Christian and non-Christian. We love everyone, and we want everyone to come to heaven.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. We want folks to go to heaven, and if we need to talk about these things, then this isn't the time for that, really.
But don't you think until we go to heaven, if you believe in that there should be some sort of peace here on earth, and that people should have agency, and we shouldn't be beating people up off the street, and we should be abiding by the Constitution?
I think that's just a little bit loaded for me right now, what you're doing.
Why so?
Well, I don't want to interview right now. I don't want to interview. I just want to tell you guys I love you. I don't need to interview right now because I want to be with my son. It's Sunday. It's time for rest and for renewal. I would like to answer your question. I just can't right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
There goes Don, stopping one of the fathers, getting into it with him mid-chaos. That's not objective reporting. That's activism. And it's wild that clip hasn't gone viral yet because it's so telling. Like, seriously, go back and listen to what Don says in this moment, right? It ain't neutral. It ain't just reporting. It's personal. And if we're gonna apply the same standard to everybody, then we need to ask why Don Lemon is not being treated the same way Kelly and um Armstrong were, right? Because right now it's like the system's picking and choosing. That's a dangerous game. If Nakima Armstrong and William Kelly could be arrested for the activism, why isn't he? And that tells you two things right off the bat. First, the man in the video, straight up hero. Like real one energy. His whole vibe, the way he carried himself, calm but firm, disappointed but still full of love. That's rare. And you could tell he felt violated. You could see it on his face. You could hear it in his tone. But he didn't meet that energy with hate. He stayed grounded in love. And if we're being honest, that right there, that's the real gospel. That's actual Christianity. Not performative, not political, just straight love your neighbors as yourself type of stuff. And that man lived it out in real time, that father. Even while standing in the middle of chaos, even while being disrespected by Don Lemon as he's trying to worship and praise God with his son, he was still offering peace, still sharing love. And that's strength, not weakness, strength. Now, second, Don Lemon and this whole I was just there as a journalist talk excuse, because come on, that's weak, bro. That's cowardly. The dude in the video kept saying you guys, not them, not that group, but you guys. He was clearly talking to Don Lemon like he was one of them, not separate, not neutral. Don got lumped right into with the same crowd that was disrupting the church. If you with him, then you with him. And if you going to sit there and record for monetary gain at a place of worship, you just as a bad apple as the rest of them. Ignorant, disgusting, disrespectful, and rude with no home training. Right? Don, that matters, okay? Because it shows how the people on the ground, the ones actually living through that moment, view Don's presence. They didn't see a journalist with a notepad and a camera. They saw an activist with an agenda, ambushing a place of worship, their home place of worship. You don't know how many families have been there since they was a child? They didn't see a journalist. Okay, bro, and you need to understand and have boundaries. The same way you will want boundaries for yourself. They loving you as they loving their neighbor as if they would love themselves. They loving you as if they were them. You not loving them as if you were them. You just out there seeking your own motives in a place of worship. And when you see that, Don could play word games all he want. Twist it, spin it, try to reframe what he was doing. But perception is reality, especially in moments like that. And the perception from that man and likely the entire congregation was that Don wasn't just reporting. He was participating. And what's even crazier is the whole group knew arrests were coming. That's what makes this all wild. They weren't blindsided. They saw it coming. They could feel the hammer dropping. And what did they do? Instead of owning up or bracing for impact, they ran straight to the media to try and rewrite the script. Nakima Armstrong, she literally went on CNN and tried to flip the entire narrative like we haven't seen the footage. Like we are blind, like we can't see what we saw. Like playing us stupid. Like social media doesn't exist and like the internet isn't forever. Like live streams don't live forever. Like we can't just rewind the tape. It's actually insane. And she's sitting there talking calm, acting like none of what happened. Just bold face, gaslighting on national TV. And honestly, it's jaw dropping. I've seen people spin stories, but this was another level, right? Brazen doesn't even begin to cover it. It's like watching someone stand in the middle of a burning building and trying to convince you the fire is just warm lighting. You almost can't believe it's real, but I want you guys to check it out. Don't take my word for it.
And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church. We actually went and sat down and participated in the service. And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me. And then I proceeded to ask him about Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead of responding to me, as soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor said, shame, shame. And that is when I led us in chants, justice for Renee Good and hands up, don't shoot. So I want to clarify that. We didn't rush in, we didn't bust in. We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
All right, and obviously, I'm not going to dispute your saying what happened. I'm merely describing how CNN is describing it. I obviously wasn't in the room.
I'm sorry, Nakima, but come on. It's just real hard to take anything you say seriously when the internet exists and we all literally saw the videos. Like, we saw them. They went viral, millions of views. It's not a debate. The footage shows exactly what happened. So when you get on TV trying to act like it didn't go down the way it did, what exactly are you trying to do here? What do you think who do you think you're fooling? Because it's not just you. William Kelly's out there doing the same thing. Dude edited his GoFundMe like he's some innocent freedom fighter now. Changed his tune. But we know originally what he said. He didn't change that wording because he had a real change of heart. Now, let's be real. He did it for two reasons. One, that's clearly part of his legal defense. His lawyers probably told him to do so. Bro, we can't walk into court with you talking about scolding the Gestapo. That's why William Kelly had to clean up his GoFundMe title. So he cleaned it up and tried to frame it as a First Amendment issue. Like he's just exercising free speech and not out here inciting a movement. But two, and I really hope this is true, maybe all of y'all that reported his GoFundMe actually applied the pressure and they hit him up and said, hey, you got to change this or it's getting taken down, because even GoFundMe pretends they care, or pretends they don't care, I should say. And the terms of service, there are loopholes, and enough people shining a light can force action. But then again, who knows? These big companies are so out of touch, they pick and choose when to care about morality or community guidelines. Either way, it's obvious these folks are shook now. The clout chase backfire. They thought they were going to ride this wave, go viral, maybe even land a book deal or a podcast or something. But now with real legal consequences on the table, the mood has changed. They got checked. Like a child that needed to be disciplined and held accountable for their actions, right? When I'm growing up and I did something wrong, I got put on punishment, discipline, right? But it's a shame these are grown folks, and then sit here lying into the American people's face. And if you were welcome and you was walking in peace, why are you going into someone's place of worship with a camera? Not to mention that she's a liar. And I can tell you why Nakima is a liar. I want you guys to check out what she had to say.
Tell us why you're doing this.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
You disrupt business as usual, but you say you went in there in peace. But then you saying your whole intent was they don't know we coming there. We basically go in there and ambush the joint, in simple words, and they don't know we coming and we gonna do what we gotta do in the form of disruption, which means inciting chaos, inciting violence if it have to go to that extreme measure. That's why William Kelly, and that's why she got arrested. Nakima Armstrong. Don Lemon is no exception because he was part of it walking in there. He was in the church. Once he stepped foot inside that church, he wasn't standing outside of the church. He's a part of it. But I want you guys to see, because you got to follow the money, right? With these Democrats and these liberals, because in the name of nonprofit, they always choose chaos in a way to create their profits, their nonprofit programs, I should say. See, what the Democrats' playbook is let the illegals out, let crime run rampant in their states. So it justifies them to get more federal monies. So they package and pass big bills within their states, which then has loopholes because it's going to be a bloated bill in the name of acting like they care about the safety of the American taxpayer and the citizen in their state, when in these blue states, they can care less, because the more violence means the more justification of why they need more help in the form of money. They don't want ICE, but they want more federal funding from the government, aka American taxpayer monies, as if that's going to solve the problem. Because we know the Democrats love throwing money at the problem, but they really don't want to fix the problem and justifying it as a way where we don't have to spend a lot of federal monies. Why wouldn't you want not to lower the taxes of the American taxpayer, not have to use as much tax money, but effectively and efficiently make sure the American people that you are operating in regards of representing, I should say, representing as a public official, representing your constituent in these blue states? Why would you not want to not tax them to death where they can actually pave a way for themselves and have more money in their pocket, but still have them safe in the form of national security and safety being upheld and the law enforced in your states. Oh, I'm going to tell you why, family. Because if they have more chaos, then that's like saying, okay, we need more federal money. But why do they not want ICE? Because it would justify that they don't need the money. They just have been mismanaging the monies because they were getting kickbacks in the form of these big bloated bills. They were constantly getting spoiled by getting federal funds, throwing money at the problem as if they were there to help their constituents in these blue states, but they wasn't. They was helping a friend, helping a friend, helping a friend, just like Governor Tim Watson over there in Minnesota and Minneapolis, and Mayor Jacob Frey helping their illegals, the illegals that were Somalian, and just the Somalian individuals in the name of fraud in general, those who committed fraud with the fake daycares and stuff, but it was supposed to be going to the people. They do those bills because they know that they bank on the ignorance of their constituents not to read those bills. Then they get money on the back end, but they also help a friend by saying, we're going to help you have a nonprofit. We're going to create reform programs, community outreach programs, reform programs in the form of safety, where we're going to get violence off of our street and we're going to take criminals and we're going to reform them. They just need help. They have mental problems. And I'm not saying that individuals don't have mental problems, but what I'm saying is they take the most emotional things, the heartfelt things that are essential, health, safety, and they play with it at the stake of the American taxpayer, and they tax you to death, but none of the results show. But if Trump go in with ICE, it'll just show them up that they didn't need the monies as much as they did because they have enough money and resources to do it. And Trump is going to go there and clean house, and there's going to be safety and stability, and they're going to be showing up to show their lack of leadership, and they don't want to be showing up. That's why they just want the money, but they don't want ICE, but they want to beg Trump for federal funding. We can handle our own state. We don't need ICE. You do need ICE. You do need ICE, but you're so busy caught up on party over people and money and enriching yourself over the people who elected you that is greed, is demonic, and it's selfish. And it's in the name of power to seek control where the money of evil or the money is the root of all evil, because they'll do anything to continue to tax the individual who voted them in these blue states to their eyeballs in the name of fraud or in the name of kickbacks, any way, shape, or form, to look out for themselves to stay in power. That's what it is. And these reform programs, where they make it, or these rehabilitative programs, and I'm not saying all are bad, but they'll continue to say, oh, we'll defund the police. We just need more social workers out there. We need more nonprofits. Yeah, but you see what happened with these nonprofits just in a minute. Check it out.
To a new report, one of the many radical activist agitators that was the organizer of Sunday's storming of a Minnesota church. Remember, like we said Monday, if you're storming a church, you're probably the bad guy. This is the person who Don Lemon kissed on the cheek before claiming that he had no affiliation with. This person reportedly pocketed over $1 million for her work for a tax-exempt nonprofit that was awarded much less money. Now, this report says that Nakima Levy Armstrong received a salary of $215,000 in 2024 from the Wayfinder Foundation, which was awarded just $158,000 in grants. That doesn't match up. And that filings from 2019 to 2024 show that between salary and health benefits, Armstrong pocketed over $1.1 million, while the foundation itself dispersed just $700,000 in grants.
There you have it, folks. So why is it, as you see in Minneapolis, with the frauds with the Somalian community, the fake daycares, the assisted living programs, the healthcare facilities, or the healthcare departments that were all inside of one building, and they weren't even allowing Americans and all people inside the healthcare, only the Somalian individuals that were in on the scam of splitting checks and giving each other kickbacks and allowing certain kids in the daycare and paying these individuals, paying their Somalian constituents and other Somali constituents working together and paying the parents to say, let me use your child to put them on the books, but there's no daycare happening. But just to show, because this will happen when there's no government oversight, They just give out money in the name of nonprofit or in the name of childcare or in the name of assisted living, playing with the essentials, the humanitarian things that the Democrats stand for, right? Healthcare, the elderly, and children, the most vulnerable, innocent. And they always act like they're helping you, and they throw money at certain programs that they know they will get money in return for themselves, pocketing themselves as politicians. And this is the same example you see when it came to Minneapolis with Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey over there in Minneapolis with the Somalians and the fraud that took place. And now allegedly Miss Nakima Armstrong may be susceptible to fraud as well when it comes to her church and her so-called being a reverend. I come to hear and learn. And now all of a sudden, to be a reverend is sort of a coincidence because you are pocketed close to 1.1 million from a nonprofit, and then you go there and ambush your church. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Catch you next one. Peace.